Hello friends, a very good evening and welcome to the must-do questions from CAT 2025 season. Let's kickstart these sessions with DILR today. Today we'll be looking at slot 1 DILR of CAT 2025. We'll be taking a look at all the 5 sets and then we'll see how to pick and how to solve the must-do sets that really should have been giveaways in the exam. All right. So friends, can you please confirm if the audio video is good? Are you able to see the video clearly? Is the audio clear before we go ahead further? Hello? Is the audio clear, guys? All right, I'll take that as a yes. So friends, I know this video is particularly targeted at CAT 26 aspirants or CAT 25 aspirants, I mean, who still have 1 year to go and who are more serious about next year, but this year you would have given a non-serious attempt just to get a feel of the exam, right? In any case, yes, you would have given the exam in only one slot, but do stay tuned to our videos. We'll be doing this series for quant, LRDI and verbal, a total of 9 videos spanning all the 3 sections to see what were the pitfalls, what were the easier nuts to crack and which were the ones that were better left, right? So let's look at the first set, guys. This was from slot 1, the morning slot, CAT 2025 DLR section. 5 countries engage in trade. I mean, I see a web chart or radar chart or spider chart, and then I see a bar graph. There's a good chance that this is going to be a DI set, right? So 5 countries engage in trade with each other. Each country levies import tariffs on the other countries. The import tariff levied by country X on country Y is calculated by multiplying the corresponding tariff with the total imports. All right. So let's say I am country X and your country Y. How much tariffs do I levy on you? Whatever the imports I am importing from you times the tariff percentage, right? That's how import tariffs work, right? Tariffs are all the news nowadays. I mean, with Trump back in the Oval Office, the entire world is talking about tariffs every day, and CAT has also given a set on tariffs, right? So I understood that part. Fine. So what about this? What do I see? The second, this bar graph, it gives me import tariff in billion USD charged by each country on other countries. For example, if you look at US here, US has charged $6 billion on France, and this olive green, this is $4.5 billion on India, $7 billion on Japan, and $3 billion on UK, right? So that's how we read the second graph. And what about the first graph? We'll come back to that. Hi, James. Good evening. Hope you'll enjoy the session. I hope the audio and everything is clear. Yes. So now, the radar chart below depicts different import tariff percentages charged by each of the 5 countries on the others. Okay. For example, US, the blue line in the chart. All right. Where is the blue line? This is the blue line. I can see. The blue line in the chart charges 20% on France. Okay, this is 10%. This innermost one is 10%. So this has to be 20%, right? This is 20% on France. This is 20%. US is charging on France. All right. 40% on India. Okay, it comes to India. This is 20, 30, 40, right? So this is 40% on India, 30% on France, 30% on Japan and UK. This is 40, one step down. It should be 30% on Japan and 10, 20, 30. This is 30% on UK. All right, we understood how to read the graph. When I talk about US, take US. US is the blue line. Take the blue line as it goes. When blue line comes to France, 20%. When blue line comes to India, 40%. When blue line comes to Japan, 30%. When blue line comes to UK, 30%. So far, the data has been easier to understand, right? All right, the bar chart depicts the import tariffs levied by each country on other countries. All right, so these are the actual tariffs charged to other countries, and this is the percentage. So what did we learn earlier? Imports into percentage should give tariffs. So tariffs by percentage should give imports. All right, looks like a good question, a low-hanging fruit. Now, lucky for those who've got this in the first 1 or 2 sets, because you won't be wasting a lot of time. You'll get an immediate boost in your score. Let's look at the first question, guys. How much is Japan's export to India worth? Japan's export to India means India's import from Japan, right? So I need to look at India, right? And I need to look at Japan. Japan is this yellow. In India, please check yellow. Where is yellow? Yellow is this one. This is how much? 3.5. 3.5 billion, right? India is levying $3.5 billion on Japan as import tariff, correct? Now 3.5, I need to check how much India is levying on Japan as a percentage, right? Where is India? India is here. This olive green, right? Check this olive green. Where is this olive green? This olive green is here. When it's touching Japan, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 50%. So India is levying 50% on Japan. India is charging $3.5 billion, which happens to be 50%. So 3.5 by 0.5 or 50%, how much would that be? That would be $7 billion. So India is importing $7 billion from Japan, or Japan is exporting $7 billion to India. First question, very easy question, confidence booster like anything. Let's hope the other questions would be as easy, right? The second question, which among the following is the highest? Okay. So, okay, now this one not so easy, but I think we can still do it because we figured out how to read these two charts, right? So we'll have to find out option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, and then identify which is the highest, largest, correct? Which among the following is the highest? Option 1, imports by France from India. Okay, imports by France from India. Check France, India. How much is France collecting from India as import tariff? Check France, India is the olive green, $6.5 billion, correct? So what is this actual value? 6.5 divided by percentage, correct? Now what is the percentage? Check France, France is red, this red. Now how much is France levying against India? See, when France red comes to India, 10, 20, 30, 40, this is 40, right? So 40% is what France is levying against India, and that 40% turns out to be 6.5. So 6.5 by 0.4. So how much is that? Into 2.5 into 2.5. 6.5 into 2, 13, right? Half into 6.5 into 0.5 is 3.25. 13 plus 13.25, $16.25 billion. That's the first option. Okay, all right. Second one, exports by France to Japan. Now check Japan. Japan is here. Here, check France. France is red. What is this red one? This red one is $3 billion, right? So exports by France to Japan is nothing but imports in Japan from France, correct? Now Japan is levying $3 billion or charging $3 billion as import tariff, correct? $3 billion divided by what is the percentage that Japan is levying against France? Check Japan. Japan is this yellow one. Where does this yellow one touch France? Yellow, France, this is 10%, 20%, 30%. This is the, when Japan touches France, that is 30%. So 3 by 0.3. 3 by 0.3 is how much? 10 billion USD, which is less than option 1 anyway. So it's not option 2. Option 2 is gone. What about option 3? Exports by Japan to UK. So let's check UK's imports, right? UK, where is UK? This is UK. I want Japan, right? Japan is which one? Japan is this yellow one. Where is this yellow one here? This yellow one is at $6 billion, correct? So what is this value? $6 billion divided by Japan to UK. Let's see how much UK is charging Japan as a percentage, right? Where is UK? UK is this black line. Where does this black line touch Japan? This is 50, so this should be 40%, right? This is divided by 0.4. 6 by 0.4 is 15, right? 15 is also less than 16.25. So option 3 is also not my answer. Now my answer lies between option 1 and option 4. What about the last one? Imports by US from France. Check US. This is US. France is the red one. US is charging $6 billion to France, correct? Okay, $6 billion divided by what percentage is US levying against France? Check. US is this blue line. Where does the blue line touch France? This is 20%, this is 10, this is 20. 6 by 0.2 into 5, how much is this? $30 billion. $30 billion is the highest by a huge margin. So option 4. Imports by US from France, that's the highest among these 4 options. Next question. What is the trade surplus or trade deficit of India with UK? Okay, the trade surplus has been defined in the question, right? You export more, import less, you have a surplus. You export less, you import more, you'll have a deficit. Now, this is economics 101, right? This is common sense. Even if you read the basic newspaper, have a very cursory understanding of how IMPEX works, this you ought to know anyway. But in any case, this was clarified here, right? So, we are interested in India with UK, right? So, exports, first let's take the exports. Plus exports minus imports will give me the correct picture, right? So how much India is exporting, which means how much UK is importing from India, right? Check UK. This is UK. India would be this olive green. How much is that? This is $3 billion. $3 billion by how much is the UK levying against India? UK is the black line. Black line came here 10, 20, 30. This is 30. 3 by 0.3. That is $10 billion is exports. What India is exporting to the UK. Now let's see how much India is importing from the UK. Let's check this one. Right here, India, UK. UK is black. Black is 5, right? Minus 5 divided by how much does India levy against UK? Check. India, olive green. Where does it touch? Olive green. This is India. 10%, 20%. So by 0.2. 5 by 0.2 into 5 into 5 minus 25 billion. How much is this? Minus 15 billion. Why minus 15 billion? Because India is exporting only 10 billion, but importing 25 billion. You are exporting a little, you are importing a lot more. So there will be a trade deficit, right? So what is the answer? Deficit of 15 billion USD, right? Next question, friends. Among France and UK, who has or have trade surpluses with the US? Okay, just a sec. Hi, Mystical Frankie. It's mistakenly written imports in one. No, both of them are very clear. There's no ambiguity here. Which question are you talking about? Here I have exports, exports, imports, imports. Can you please confirm again? In the meanwhile, we'll solve the fourth question. Among France and UK, who has or have trade surpluses with the US? The same thing that we did in the previous question. We'll just say exports minus imports. If that is positive, we'll say trade surplus. Yes, Mystical Frankie, the first one, see, the first one is import tariff percentage charged by each country on other countries. Take the example of this blue, right? This blue represents USA. Now, what does this represent? On France, whenever France exports to the US is charging 20% as import tariff. On India, 40% tariff, right? Here, against Japan, 30% tariff. Against UK, 30% tariff. So yes, these are import tariffs as a percentage. Now, these are import tariffs as actual dollar value, right? So this percentage into imports should give me these values. All right. How we see exports? See, when I say when I want to find out exports of India to US, that's the same as check the imports to US from India, right? Yes or no? Whether US is exporting to India or India is importing from the US, both are the same, right? My exports to you are your imports from me, correct? So let's look at the last question. Among France and UK, who has or have trade surpluses with US? Okay, first let's check France. France, how much France is exporting to the US? To find that, go to US, check the import tariff on France. France is this red, correct? Red. How much is it? $6 billion. So $6 billion by how much is the US levying against France? Blue here. This is 20%. 6 by 0.2. This is what France is exporting to the US. Minus what is France importing from the US? Check France. Check imports US. How much is this? 5.5. 5.5 by how much is France levying against the US? Check the red line. Check the red line. When does it touch the US? 10, 20, 30. Right? Minus 5.5 by 0.3. Correct? How much is this? 6 by 0.2 into 5 into 5. This is 30. Minus 55 by 3. 18.33. How much is this? 11.66. So France definitely has a trade surplus. Yes. Now what about UK? Let's see similarly how much UK is exporting to the US. So in US, let's check the imports from UK. UK is black. How much is this? $3 billion. $3 billion divided by how much is the US levying against UK? 10, 20, 30 by 0.3 minus how much is UK importing from the US? Okay, this is UK. UK is importing from the US. Blue line. Blue line is how much? 2.5 minus 2.5 by how much is UK levying against the US? Black line when it meets the US. This is 20% by 0.2. Right? So I have 10 minus 12.5 minus 2.5. So that is definitely trade deficit. UK is exporting less but importing more. So among these, who has or have trade surpluses with the US? Option 2, only France. So that concludes the first set. Okay, glad that it helped. Thanks, Mystical Frankie. Thanks for voicing out your query clearly. That concludes the first set, guys, and trust me, in the real exam this wouldn't have taken more than 6-7 minutes or so. Remember, we have 40 minutes for the section, 6 to 7 minutes, and we are done. One set, 1 out of 5 down, and this was my first set in the exam, as a matter of fact, right? So next set, okay, that's one set, 4 questions down, 12 marks in our kitty. Sometimes that 12 marks could mean 80 percentile, 85 percentile. In a tough year, that could mean even 90 percentile. Who knows? Let's look at the second set. At InnovateX, 6 employees, A, B, C, D, E, F, were split into 2 groups. Elite, led by one manager. Novice, led by another manager. At the end of each quarter, Cuckoo and Lalu handed out ratings to all members. In each group, each employee received a distinct integer rating. Somewhere I get a feeling that this is not going to end very well for me. Doesn't give very easy vibes, honestly, you know. So the score for an employee at the end of a quarter is defined as their cumulative rating from the beginning of the year. All right. Each quarter, it will be taken as a cumulative rating from the beginning of the year. At the end of each quarter, the employee in novice with the highest score was promoted to elite, and the employee in elite. All right, now that's really a lot. Okay, as A, B, C were in elite at the beginning of quarter 1, all of them were novice at the beginning of quarter 4. All right, so in the next 3 quarters, A went down, B went down, C went down, which means they had to be at the bottom. D, F were the only employees who got the same rating. Trust me, we've seen questions like this before. I mean, they really sap you out. They take a lot of time. They drain you, not just your time, but also your mental stamina. Well, too much happening. There's quarter 1 and quarter 2 and quarter 3 and quarter 4, multi-stage logic. If someone is holding a gun and saying, I will shoot you if you don't solve it, maybe I will try it. But this is my second set, and this is a very important day. This is CAT 2025. I'll take my chances with the next sets. All right. So yeah, bad luck. I mean, there were 5 questions in the set, but I'm not going to try this. Okay. Train travels from station A to E, passing through B, C, and D in that order. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, that's the order. The train has a seating capacity of 200. A ticket may be booked from any station to any other station ahead, but not to any earlier station. So I can book from A to B, A to C, A to D, A to E, B to C, B to D, B to E, and so on. A ticket from one station to another reserves one seat on every intermediate segment of the route. Now that is common sense. If A is, A is booking a ticket till E, obviously that seat has to be reserved for E throughout the journey, throughout the every leg of the journey. A, B, B, C, C, D, D, throughout that seat has to be booked, right? So the occupancy factor is the total number of seats reserved as a percentage of seating capacity. So far, it makes a lot of it feels like common sense. Okay, the total number of seats reserved for any segment cannot exceed 200. Hey, obviously, I know capacity is 200, it can't exceed. All right, this is not an Indian train where in a 200-member compartment we can fit 400 people, right? So the following information is known. Segment CD had an occupancy. Okay, only segment BC had a higher occupancy. Okay, exactly 40 tickets were booked from B to C, 30 from B to E. All right, multi-stage logic, multiple variables. Among the seats reserved, exactly 4 sevens were from stations before C. The number of tickets booked, it gives me a feel that maybe I can do this, but there are a lot of conditions still. Okay, this is still the third set. There would be 2 more sets if everything goes according to plan, right? Let's see quickly. This is the 4th set. So far, A, B, C, D played a game in which each asks a unique question to all the others, and they respond by tapping their feet either once or twice or thrice. Okay, 1 tap means yes, 2 taps means no, and 3 taps mean maybe. So you ask a question and your answers, your replies are either 1 tap or 2 taps or 3 taps. Okay, a total of 40 taps were heard across the 5 questions. All right, 5 questions were asked, 40 taps were given. Feels like a distribution puzzle. Each question received at least 1 yes, 1 no, and 1 maybe. All right, yes would be 1 tap, no would be 2 taps, 2 plus 1 3, 3 plus 3 6. So each question got at least 6 taps. 6 5s are 30. The remaining 10 are because some were no's and some were maybes. A little more. Okay, I have 6 conditions. What it feels like is a distribution puzzle with multiple conditions. Some are giving taps, some are taking taps. So it really feels like a games and tournament question, actually points scored in your favor, points scored in the opponent's favor kind of a thing, right? 5 people, 5C2, I'm looking at 10 such combinations. A, B, how much did A give to B? How much did A take from B? How many taps given? How many taken? A to C, how many given taken? A to D, how many given taken? It feels like that games and tournaments kind of a puzzle. I fill up the table, given taken, and maybe I could do it. But there are a lot of conditions. One last set, I would like to take a look at it before, a round table has 7 chairs around it. The chairs are numbered 1 through 7 in a clockwise direction. Okay, circular arrangement question. 4 friends A, B, C, D sit on 4 of the chairs. All right, 7 chairs, only 4 friends sitting. In the starting position, A and C are sitting next to each other, while for Bashir while for B as well as D, there are empty chairs on either side of their chairs. Meaning B has 1 empty chair to his right, 1 to his left. Same with D. So right, that's 2 people and 3 chairs gone, 3 or 4 chairs. The remaining chairs are occupied by A and C. Looks promising, prima facie. The friends take turns moving either clockwise or counterclockwise from their chair. All right, okay, things are not so easy now. The friend who has to move in a turn occupies the first empty chair in whichever direction he or she chooses to move. Aslam moves first, A first, then B, then C, then D. Then A, followed by B, C. All right, here everything's stopping at the 7th turn. A, B, C, D, and then A, B, C, and stop. The following information, all right, we have just 2 pieces of information worth giving it a shot. The 4 friends occupy adjacent chairs only at the end of turn 2 and turn 6. Meaning there were 7 turns, only at the end of turn 2 and only at the end of turn 6, all the friends are occupying adjacent chairs. What does it mean? Turn 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, they are not adjacent to each other. All the 4 friends, you mean 2 of them could be adjacent, but that doesn't answer, right? Davis, D occupies chair 2 after turn 1 and chair 4 after turn 5, and C occupies chair 7 after turn 2. Okay, interesting. After turn 1, D occupies chair 2. Okay, how are they numbered? They are numbered something like this, right? Let's draw it uniformly. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. D occupies chair 2 after turn 1. Hey, turn 1, D didn't move. Only A moved in turn 1. Which means after turn 1, if D is sitting in chair 2, even before turn 1, D was sitting in chair 2, right? So chair 2, who is sitting? D is sitting here. All right. And we have another. C occupies chair 7 after turn 2. Okay, after turn 2, who moved in turn 2? B. A and then B. So Chavi was sitting in chair 7 after turn 2 as well as after turn 1 as well as at the start of the game. So where was Chavi sitting? Chavi was sitting in chair 7. This is C. All right. Now tell me, B and D do not like neighbors. D doesn't like a neighbor. No one sits here at the beginning. No one sits here at the beginning. Which means A can't sit here. A and C were sitting adjacent to each other, right? So A is sitting here. Now, where will B sit? B doesn't like neighbors either, which means B should be sitting here and no one sits here, right? That's perfect. D is sitting here, B here, C here, A here. All right, I have some more information, but what is the number of the chair initially occupied by Bashir? Bashir is on chair number 4. Low hanging fruit. Whether the set is difficult or not, I don't know what happens later. But I got one question with close to no effort or very little effort, you could say. One question knocked. Now, what about the others? Who sits on the chair numbered 4 at the end of turn 3? Turn 6. All right. So the other questions don't look very easy, but in any case, if I have to try, if I want to try, because I still have some time, right? I still have about 25 minutes or so with me. I would have spent some 15 minutes so far. Where is A going in his first turn? I do know that at the end of turn 2, all the friends are sitting adjacent to each other, correct? Now, if A comes anti-clockwise, right? If A comes anti-clockwise, A will come and sit here, right? And C can go and sit here in his turn. But hey, we're talking about the second turn. If A comes here and then B goes there, or B comes here, they will not be sitting adjacent to each other, which means A has to come and sit here. Now, drawing so many of these in the exam is not going to be easy. At the end of turn 1, C, A, D, B. Now, where will B go? Tell me. If B goes here, they won't be sitting adjacent to either, which means B goes in an anti-clockwise direction. B goes here, C, B, A, D. Okay, all right. So at the end of turn 2, all of them are sitting adjacent to each other. This is what I have so far. Now the next one, turn 3. Turn 3, they should not be sitting adjacent to each other, correct? Which means D, A, B, C is what it is. C can't go anti-clockwise, in which case B, A, D, C, they'll still be sitting adjacent. So C comes from here to here. Do I have a question about turn 3? Who sits on the chair numbered 4 at the end of turn 3? Chair numbered 4, no one is sitting. So I can actually answer one more question, right? Now, none of the others look very easy because now I'll have to juggle a lot. There will be multiple possibilities and all that. But with little effort, I got 2 questions right. Yes. And any other questions we had a soft corner for? These claps? No, not really. But this train set feels like something that we could do. CD. I mean, so far, remember, we did 4 questions and 2 questions, 6 questions already, 18 marks. We're doing good. We're doing good. We still have about 20 to 23 minutes, more than half the time, right? The first set definitely didn't look like a doable set. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it, I think, not in the time constraint. I have to choose between train or that claps, right? So let's try the train one. We know A to B to C to D to E. This is how all the stations are going, right? Total seats are 95%. CD had an occupancy of 95%. So CD 95%, 0.95 into 200. This would be 190, right? Next one. First hint used, only segment BC had a higher occupancy factor. All right. So this one had greater than 95% occupancy. Could be 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. I don't know. Greater than 95%. Okay, I can't do this in the exam, but I'm doing this here. I'm just striking it off. I've used it. Exactly 40 tickets were booked from B to C and 30 from B to E. All right. So what we'll do here is, from A on this part of the journey, right, on this stretch, how many different kinds of people would be traveling? Tell me. Those who are going from A to B, A to C, A to D, and A to E. Correct? A, B, A, C, A, D, A, E. All these four kinds of people would be traveling on this stretch. On this stretch, A, B people already got down here. So I will have how many people? A, C, A, D, A, E, and then I'll have B, C, B, D, and B, E. Right? The next stretch, what kind of people will I have? People are going from AC, people would get down here at C, right? I will have only people going from A to D, people going from A to E, B to D, B to E, C to D, and C to E. And the last stretch, people going from A to E, B to E, C to E, and D to E. So these are the different kinds of people who will be traveling on each stretch at different points. Right now, exactly 40 tickets were booked from B to C. All right. So BC is equal to 40. Where is BC? BC will come only here. BC won't come there. It's gone. They got in at B, got down at C. Right. Exactly 40 were booked from B to C, and 30 were booked from B to E. All right. BE, this is 30. BE, this is 30, and BE, this is 30. By the way, these are the people traveling in that stretch. Okay, 30, 30, 30. Be careful, enter it at all the values. I'm getting a good feeling about this. I mean, enough variables once I chat it out, right? Among the seats reserved on segment DE, DE would be that last segment, exactly 4/7 were from stations before C. Means first of all, the total should be a multiple of 70, right? Among these total tickets, what is he saying? 4/7 means totally 7 parts, 4 parts, 3 parts. 4 parts were from stations before C. Before C means A and B, meaning these people, meaning these tickets and these tickets were in the ratio 4:3. That's 4 parts. This is 3 parts. Right? That's what it is. The number of tickets booked from A to C was equal to that booked from A to E. All right, A to C is X, A is X, A to C is X, A is X, this is X, and this is X. All right, and it was higher than that from B to E. B to E is 30, so X is greater than 30. All right, next, no tickets were booked from A to B. Okay, A to B is 0. From B to D, B to D is 0. Okay, B to D is 0. And from D to E, all right, D to E is also 0. Done. The number of tickets booked for any segment was a multiple of 10. All right. For any segment, all these values should be multiples of 10. I see 40s, 30s, 30s, which means this total should also be a multiple of 10. This was 95% occupancy. 200 into 95% is 190. Greater than 190. There's only one value possible, correct? There's only one value possible, and that is 200. So that's 190, and this is 200. Great. We're making some progress now. So this is 200. 200 is 30 plus 40 plus X plus X plus this value. AD is still unknown at this point, but can I get that value? Do I have any constraints on X? X is greater than 30. All right. Now, let me check there. Here. See, CE, this part, CE plus DE is some multiple of 3, and AE plus BE is some multiple of 4, correct? Now, this is a multiple of 3 as well as a multiple of 10. So, this has to be something like 30, 60, 90, something like that, right? 30, 60, 90 something. Can this be 90? Tell me. If this is 90, 3 parts is 90, each part is 30. 34s are 120. This part will be 120, X will be 90. Now, if X is 90, 90, 90, 180, 40, 220, no, this is exceeding 200. So, X can't be 90. Okay. Can X be 30? Okay. If this is 30, then this will be 40. X plus 30 is 40 and X is 10. But sorry, X is greater than 30. That's already, sorry, X is greater than 30 here, already mentioned, right? So, this value can only be 60. CE is 60. 60 is 3 parts. 3 parts is 60. So each part is 20. 24s are 80. X plus 30 is 80 and x is equal to 50. Okay. We made some good progress. This is 50. This is 50. X is 50. This is 50. And this is 50. Great. Now check the stretch BC. 30 plus 40, 70, 50, 120, 170, total is 200. So AD is equal to 30. AD is equal to 30. Okay. I know 30, 50, 80, 110, right? CE is equal to 60. 60, 30, 90, 140, 170. CD has to be 20, right? Just check it. 80, 110, 160, 190. So do we have all the values yet? Check me. Do we have any idea about AD? AD is 30. Yeah, we filled it there. We forgot to fill here. AB, I got all these values. I got all these values and I got all these values. I got all these values. Now I can answer any question that I want. First question, what was the occupancy factor for segment D to E? D to E, how many travel? Tell me 50, 80, 140. 140 out of 200. 140 by 200 should be 70%, right? How many tickets were booked from station A to E? Station A to station E. Simple. AE, that's 50 tickets, right? This answer straight away 50 tickets. We solved the whole thing. There's no uncertainty. There's no minimum, maximum, nothing, no multiple possibilities, right? How many tickets were booked from station C? Okay, from station C meaning I have to check CD and CE, right? So 20 plus 60, that would be a total of 80 tickets. Another question, done. What is the difference between the number of tickets booked to station C and the number of tickets booked to station D? Okay, to station C, who all would book? AC and BC. What's the total? 50, 40, 90. And what about D? AD, BD 0, 30, 0 and CD 30, 20, 50. 90 and 50. What is the difference? This is 40. Last question. How many tickets were booked to travel in exactly one segment? One segment means A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, right? AB is 0, BC is 40, right? AB 0, 40, CD 20, 40, 20, 60 and plus 0, total 60. So that's 70%, 50, 80, 40, 60. That's 5 questions down, guys. And very realistically speaking, in an exam, by now we would have been time up. We would have run out of time, right? So where does that leave us? We did first 4 questions from the website, the tariffs one. And then we did 5 questions here, 9. And then we did about 2 questions here. We couldn't solve the entire set though. There looked like there could be multiple possibilities and all that. That's 11 questions right out of 22. 11 out of 22 is a great score, right? That's 33 marks, comfortably above the cutoffs, comfortably above 95 or 97 percentile also. This would be very close to something like 99 or so, slightly higher than 99. We'd only know once the results are out, but that's a high probability event. 40 minutes, 33 marks, a little more than 2 sets. Now that was quite possible. You didn't have to be a genius. You didn't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out, right? Guys, this series of videos is aimed at telling you how it is possible to do that under time constraint, under the pressure, right? With smart selection. This is what we're trying to tell you here. Be smart about your choices. Choose your set wisely. You can waste a little time here and there. Obviously, I didn't do this. You could waste about 5 minutes here or there, but realize that very quickly that you're on the wrong path, that you're pouring your time into the wrong set, right? So we'll see you again in the videos on quant, DLR and verbal. Once again, stay tuned, guys. Like, share and subscribe, and all the best for your preparation. I know you still have nearly 1 year, but better get started. See you guys. Hi, Frankie. This was the actual CAT paper for your information, right? This was from CAT 2025 morning slot. And I mean, 2 of the sets were doable, I would say, but the others were definitely difficult. This was the experience everyone had, no doubt about it. It's not just you, it's the entire country. All the CAT aspirants in the country found it very difficult. You're not alone. But with 2 sets, 2.5 sets, you could have seen yourself in a very comfortable position, right? Does that make you feel better? There is a lot of difference between the guy who could crack only 1 set and the guy that would cracked 2 sets. That's what we're trying to show here. Right, Frankie? See you again in the next video. Bye, Mohan, James, Frankie, and the others. All the best, guys.